Hello, I'm Mary Edwards with Connecting with the Stars, and I'm here with wonderful friend, and special guest here, this amazing woman that is going to blow your mind away once again with all her incredible experiences, Glenda Dawson. And I'm on the West Coast and she's on the East Coast. And after we talk for 1 minute about the weather, we're going to dive into talking about healing experiences on ships that the ETs have been doing on many beings and hybrids and others for a long time. So anyway, I just, you're in Pennsylvania. How has the weather been there? How are you holding up?
Cold. The weather has been cold, frigid. Um, 2 days before Christmas, 3 days before Christmas, 2 days before Christmas. And all of a sudden, the skies open up and we were getting ice and snow and sleet and freezing rain, and it stopped, but not before keeping everything frozen and slippery. And there was one day I actually took my dogs, I carried my dogs out. I said, go to the bathroom quick because we're not staying out here, and carried them back in. I was like, nope. I have one of them is a Chihuahua,
Oh,
and I know that one would have frozen to death in a couple more minutes. So, and I was like, nope, no, we're just, we closed the doors, we kept the heat on, we kept the wood pellet stove on, which is a lifesaver. That is so warm and cozy. And then our regular oil heat, and we didn't go anywhere. I actually canceled Christmas Eve.
oh, smart. I know
Yeah,
we didn't have one either because the people who flew in from the East were all sick, but people are doing it for every reason. That's smart because
yeah,
you don't want
yeah.
people to get in an accident. Well, and this is the new normal. You and I
Mhm.
were just talking about it briefly before we came on, and
Yeah.
I think what people have to realize is, we thought COVID changed our lives and that this being inside and being isolated and confined in certain ways was going to
Mhm.
change us, and it did. And now we're
Mhm.
on a whole nother level. And I think that just the importance, and maybe we can just talk about this before we dive into, our
Right.
topic today, but the need for resilience today,
Mhm.
particularly going through the year that we've been through, the last few years. To look at the airports, people needed to see their families, but there's also this sort of insanity to move and to get out on top of just seeing family you haven't seen for several years, which I'm happy that I have some family right here in California that I don't have to fly to see. But I think,
Mhm.
and that's also not only a healing on ships, but we have to learn how to heal at home with ourselves and with each other.
Right.
I mean, my
Yeah.
sanctuary, I finally, and I've been doing interior design for 50
Mhm.
years. I finally got my little flat that you see here together over the last couple of years. And as I've mentioned to you and other people, that all during COVID, people were calling me all day long. What do I do? I'm going insane. I said, it's not only time for personal hygiene of health and wellness, but your home has to learn how to be more flexible forever. It's not just,
Right.
it's multi-dimensional, multi-generational. Kids are at
Mhm.
home. This is going to keep going on and off. These different flus and the CRV, or I mean, whatever this is. I keep saying VC. I mean, I can't even think of all the names. And now babies are. I mean, the world has changed, but we
Right.
also need to do some fine tuning on our own, and we all as moms. I don't have
Mhm.
grandchildren yet, but we have to take care of ourselves and our families and partners and husbands and children inside our homes. It's not
Mhm.
just personal and emotional and psychological hygiene. It's really making our homes safer and healthier and more resilient
Right.
and more flexible. Go buy 3 sleeping bags. Go get a screen and put it up. Get
Right.
all different kinds of masks. Try to figure out different ways of creating a more sustainable, flexible, happier, healthier home site. So
Mhm.
when we go through these periods of time, you're not home without food. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not only for immigrants that are trapped at, stuck outside in the cold, but friends of mine who are driving to Tahoe that, didn't have enough food in their trunk or warm clothes. We have to get smarter and more conscious
Right.
as a civilization. And so anyway, that's my
It's
worth.
well, it's kind of like you kind of have to go back to basics
Yes.
and start learning again, opening your eyes again, opening your heart again, your mind again, to the point where you learn the old stuff, how to survive in bad weather, how to survive when you have no food, no water, or anything. What do you have that's available around? Sustain yourself with nature. What kind of plants can you eat? What kind of plants are going to help your stomach that day? What kind of plants, or how to test the water before you drink it. That's another thing that people don't think. Just because in the spring, you see a little river or a little spring going by, that doesn't mean it's always drinkable.
Right. Well, that's why even I have to change my filters in my water here in California. I'm
Yeah,
sure you do too. Water is everything, and we are
right.
water. And if we don't
Exactly.
drink healthy water, like we've seen in some of the locations that we know people are really are hurting. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
the basics. Like I was saying to some people that I was with from Texas who were here at an engagement party for some friends of mine, and I said, "Well, my family used to have a ranch in Kansas, and it happened to be
Mm-hmm.
taken over. It's a pretty big ranch at the turn of the century, and Pancho Villa ended up taking it over." And what my grandmother's father, Moses Sherman, had started this big ranch in Kansas, and they
Mm-hmm.
take the
Mm-hmm.
cattle down like in the olden days. And he wrote a book, and the whole book back in 1908 or something, before Pancho Villa ended up taking over the ranch, and the Smithsonian and different people said he was 50 to 80 years ahead of his time for what he was feeding his cattle. How he had a church on site. They had a 150,000 acre ranch down in Texas
Woo!
and Mexico. It was one of those main ones where they, a lot of the Midwesterners, Kansas, they share the cattle path down to
Right.
Mexico. And then some of the coast ones had their own, but everybody ended up either in the Midwest and then they take them down during the winter, of course, in the Midwest and all over the
Mm-hmm.
Boulder coast. And I never got to meet him because he had already passed, but my grandmother used to spend summers down there and learn Spanish before she spoke English. And she grew up, had a pretty fancy life, but her life down there was the dogs and the horses and the ponies and the ranchers. And she said, Mary, the culture that they had back there, and what she called him grandfather, because it was her grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
they said, we were way ahead of sustainability, and that's why they use that as models now for farming since then. He wrote a book on
Mm-hmm.
that called The Autocracy of Class, and he went through the whole book, and he was friends with Roosevelt and blah blah blah, but their letters in the book was Roosevelt was saying to him, thank you for thinking about the cattle, what they eat too, the preservatives. I mean, it was like, and this is in my genes, and maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
genes, but I've done sustainability my whole life and went to sustainability school. And my mom's dad was an architect who standardized 2x4s. Anyway, all the way back, my family has always been concerned about health and wellness. We worked on hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on a bunch of hospitals. They started hospitals. They, on the side, always did things for the community. But I think what we're talking about too, and I live in earthquake city. Obviously, San Francisco is earthquake city, and I have so many supplies in my trunk right now. When the American Red Cross asked me 15, 20 years ago to do a poster to go all over the city for what happens during an earthquake, I said, I'm just going to use 10 symbols. Turn the water off, turn your oven off. And I did it, and it was I remember seeing it all over the city, and it was so,
Right.
you have to be in Chinese or American or other
Yeah.
people that were visiting. I said, can we, and I think we need that for today. Clean water, healthy food. I mean, there's some basics, and there's a long way to get back to what you were just commenting about. It is time for us to regroup and really simplify. That's why I love being in my 1,000 square foot space here. I have low heating bills. I have herbs. My son lives a few blocks away and has the big garden in the backyard, and I get a lot of his vegetables. But it is
Mhm.
time to rethink how we live and how the world is going to be, with seeing my friends go to Costco. I can't go to those big stores because I have a nervous breakdown in them and I always buy too much stuff. But shelves are empty now. I mean,
Yes.
I have backup for probably 4 months here. And I have I don't even have a garage space. I have a tiny little
Mhm.
storage, and it's filled with water and food and heaters and matches and all those things, because I was in
Candles and batteries.
candles.
Yes.
I mean, I was in a
Yes.
hurricane in Brighton when I was 6 months pregnant with Alex, and I couldn't even get the guys I was working with at NASA. It was all men and Dr. Von Clearwater. We were doing finishing our paperwork like 20 years ago, or well, it was 30 years ago because I was pregnant with Alex. And none of the guys would leave the hotel, even though it had just been destroyed, basically destroyed. I thought I was going to die, and we thought we were going to be blown away in Brighton, England by a big hurricane. And Yvonne
Mhm.
and I was like 6 months pregnant. I was big as a house. Shouldn't have been there anyway. I sort of thought I could sneak in a little trip to England without anything happening. I talked my doctor into letting me go. Um, and these guys, they said, well, where do we go? And I said, I'm sure there's a church nearby. They probably have more candles. Well, we don't want to
Mhm.
go. It's too cold and wet out there. And so I borrowed a trench coat, and Yvonne and I went out in our pajamas in the middle of the night with me, like 6 months pregnant, climbed over trees. We brought back 2 boxes of candles. They gave us some canned foods. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I forgot all about that till we're talking about it right now. But if people have to get smarter with what's going on and what's going to go on. There are,
Mhm.
climate change is changed and has changed.
Right.
And
Right.
our weather, I can see the weather patterns here change. And look what 2/3 of this country is going through.
Right. It's like right now we are actually getting the freezing, very cold, icy weather that normally comes in February.
Yeah, we get
You
this
know,
usually in the fall too, like later on in
right?
a couple of months.
Exactly. So there, it's like 2 months ahead.
Out there on my patio that I've been sweeping off all morning. Yeah, it's changed. Our
Yes.
fog patterns have changed. Our weather has totally changed.
And,
And
and yeah, and people have to remember that in order for humanity or even for you to survive, you've got to become that willow tree. That willow tree that swings no matter how hard the wind blows, it just swings, but it doesn't break. And we all have to learn how to be flexible, how
resilient.
to resilient, how to think outside the box. Okay. Um, learn some Cub Scouts and Scout, skills, how to start fire with, right, how to do all that stuff because you never know.
I was saying that to my family yesterday out at the beach. I said, I love being a Girl Scout. My last badge that I got, it was the first time they'd ever had it, was building a fire. And it was this is the 1950s. I made them do that because my family had started this camp called Camp Edwards. So people could go to this camp. And I said, we
Right.
don't have fire preparation here, because I used to camp and stuff. And so I learned that back then. And I said to my brother-in-law, this incredible lawyer, I said, you know how to really start a fire? And he said, no clue. And my son does, because he works in forestry. But
Right.
you're right, though. We need to not only be resilient and strong, we have to just be prepared, like the Girl Scouts,
Right.
and be more prepared with winter clothing. I mean, just even seeing the immigrants that have come up, thank God for all the kind-hearted souls that have been feeding them. But
Mm-hmm.
this is a new world of migration and immigration and
Mm-hmm.
weather and politics that is never going to, maybe it's going to calm down. You and I are both positive people, but I think, we can sort of move on from here. But I think it's just planning ahead.
Yeah.
360 brain. I always told my kids, it doesn't matter if you're driving and you don't see a child run out. You got to think all the way around the front of the car,
Wow.
the back of the car. Somebody dropped a
Exactly.
dart out, just like the hurricane. Oh, why aren't we prepared? Well, they've been, stock up all year. Be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Be smart.
Mm-hmm.
Or
And it's like the usual thing is like we get a notification, there's going to be snow on Friday. So everybody goes out on Wednesday and Thursday. All the shelves get empty. And I'm like, I took care of that back then.
Okay.
I go extra. I get an extra loaf of bread. I put it in the freezer. It's there. And if I don't need it, I don't need it. But if I do, it's there. Eggs. Why is it everybody runs out for eggs? You could, it's like, I can't, it isn't like the eggs, the natural eggs, because I don't know if, well, you lived in a farm, so you know about farming.
I live in
You know
California.
that,
I grew up eating really healthy for my parents. We never.
right, but you know that if chicken eggs that are just laid with before you clean them, they could be put on a shelf. They don't have to be put away in a refrigerator. Once you clean them, you do. But so you have some eggs that are natural and they stay for a while without you cleaning them. That's the beauty of all that stuff. That's the stuff that you learn. So if you find somebody who has chickens and they have too many eggs, you say, don't clean them. I'll take some, but don't clean them. And then this way, if you have a storm, you have eggs. There's so many things that people don't know that are so easy to pick up. And
Well,
it
because
makes
we
so
moved
much
off the
sense.
farm when the Industrial Revolution happened at the turn of the century, and then the 50s, it was pretty basic. World War II happened. I mean, the millennials are on their phones. And plus, once you run out of energy too, you're looking to be able to be on your phones. But it's the practicality, just living like a pioneer going west. I mean, I think maybe next year we should really do a punch list for how do we really prepare for 3 months or 2 months or 2 months, couple of months. I mean, not
Right.
backpack with water, but food and tins. I mean, you have to have some things because if your if your electricity's out, I've had, been in enough weird weather,
Mm-hmm.
that just all that food gets destroyed. But,
Yeah.
and it's the warmth. I mean, the extra
Yeah.
quilts and clothes. I have all my sports gear in my trunk, and I have 2 different pairs of tennis shoes. I have blankets. And I just have
Yep.
VW.
And you're not even in a cold spot.
No, but I am always, I'm that Girl Scout
Right.
a long time
Right.
ago. Because I broke down
Exactly.
once in the middle of the desert when I
And
traveled and I used to camp out. I've been there for no food for
right.
days to get 10 cans of sardines, put
Uh-huh.
in your trunk. Sardines are all protein, all
Yep.
those little basic things that you can do. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
sort of getting carried away with this, but I think it's time to look at, we end the year with mindfulness, which we will end
Uh-huh.
this conversation with in a little while because it's almost New Year's Eve, and
Mm-hmm.
securing our home and healing our home and ourselves from future disaster, because we are going to see more weather disasters like we are right now. There's no surprises anymore. This holiday, unfortunately, became a new record, really, to I think prepare us for everything. We're going to
An
have to
opportunity for us to learn.
weather a lot of storms over the next few years, in different ways, I think. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows about,
And
yeah.
we just you have to become pliable. We have to become flexible and start picking up little skills and tools and knowledge. You don't have to know the whole book, the whole encyclopedia. You just got to learn the basics. You know,
Water.
what berries, what berries to eat in the forest, which
Oh,
ones
and
not to.
my son Alex could talk to you about he talked on Christmas for like an hour and a half on which berries, which mushrooms.
Yeah,
he and his,
exactly.
there are a lot of basic things, but it's the beginning thing, like 101 survival
Mhm.
skills for a month. We could start with
Right,
30
right.
days,
Yeah,
circadian rhythm, right?
yeah.
30 days of survival, like Naked and
That's good.
Afraid, that TV show.
Yeah.
I turn that on when I need to get distracted for a few minutes, and I go, oh my God, look how they just made that fire. I turn on for like 5 minutes, and every day they're figuring out how to make that tent in the middle of the wilderness.
Yeah.
And scare off birds and cook and dive for fish and the things that they do. Every kid should, you know, have to watch one of those TV shows once a month so they can really learn something from it. Like those cultures that go to the army for a year, you know, so
Mm-hmm.
they learn some survival skills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
That's very true.
yes,
Very true.
onward to healing on crafts right now.
Healing on craft.
Yeah,
Well,
so why don't you
well,
share some stories that you know about that?
sure. Um,
Oh, by the way,
First off,
introduce you today because I think everyone pretty much knows you because you're everywhere. I don't know, you are wonderfully everywhere, helping everyone, but if you'd like to say a couple things about yourself, please do.
um, well, like Mary said, I'm everywhere. The best place to find me is always an email at glendasmagicalcreations@gmail.com. I have my website, glendasmagicalcreations.com. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitch, I'm on Instagram, YouTube, I'm on TikTok, um, Pinterest, Pinterest, there too. I'm almost everywhere. Because I figured if I'm going to give somebody the opportunity, they have to be able to find me.
Right.
An opportunity for healing. So I go where they are usually are. I'm even on Snapchat. My kids got me into that. I'm like, oh God, I can't, not one more. Uh,
Well, the thing is,
so
you have so many skills for healing, from Reiki to children to older people.
yes.
What you do is not only healing on a craft, you can heal anybody at any level with no judgment. I know you well enough to know the love in your heart and the kindness and resilience. You are the willow and you're incredible. Could you just talk for a second about your generations of womanhood too? Women,
Oh, yes.
somebody, a power woman to help
Yeah.
keep them. I need you. Everybody needs you. Benefit.
Well, I am the matriarch of at least 8 generations of very gifted, very powerful women. In their own time, some had to keep their gifts quiet because, retribution was really bad. But I do speak to the one that I do know the most, I call her Granny. She is 10 generations back. She was originally in the old Romanian area. So she is very knowledgeable, very powerful, and she's become one of my guides this since birth. I really believe that she's been with me. And it's just a matter of that knowledge that's passed on that I am now. It was passed on to only the girls in our family. Now I'm passing it on to my boys and my daughter and my stepchildren. Any person that wants to know it and wants to continue it, because I believe that I'm one of those people that believe, like a Girl Scout, you have a toolbox with a lot of different tools, and you never know which tool you're going to need. And I keep telling my students that, and I keep saying that to my children. And I'm very blessed that my children have embraced their gifts, whether they want to use it or not, they acknowledge them. And that's, the fact that they know that they're there, and if they need it, they can. My eldest is a very good listener, and he gets knowledge, so he channels guidance. And he actually has helped a lot of people through a lot of problems and a lot of situations. Because they come to me, you have a great son. He really talked me through it. And I'm like, no.
Well, plus today, everything, we're all unisex. I mean, I've been working my whole life. In the olden days, the women were the powerful, wise one, but men have the opportunity to be wise too if they so choose. It's all
Exactly.
about choice. So Your family is a one-stop shop too, because if you then prefer to talk to someone, they could talk to him, or they can talk to both of you. Because right
Exactly.
now we're trying to blend the feminine and masculine more, right?
Right. We're trying to unite again, right?
Yes.
We're not trying to separate. And that's where we lose. That's where humanity loses when we separate. When we work together, it's a great force. It's a force to be reckoned with, right? It's so much knowledge and so much unity and so much love and the willingness to work together that everybody learns from everybody else and everybody heals from everybody else if you just let it happen.
Right. And so many doors
Uh,
open too, because not only from the Me Too movement to Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, all the gayness. I
yeah.
mean, everyone has naturally, almost organically, through the generations, become more similar with women and women in the work field, and what
Mm-hmm.
half of men are probably, I think it's half of men, if a third of half the women are single parents like I was forever.
Yeah.
Obviously too, because and some of those men are stepping in and taking over more and more. So, and
Yes. There's a lot more men
a
with
patriarchal and all the
yeah.
70 years of lack of disclosure. I mean, that the veil is thinning.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're right. I mean, it really is this unification of male and female skills. We have to be stronger, men have to be weaker or just more emotional with more empathy. I mean, we're all learning about both
Right.
sides.
Right. Exactly.
Want to weave it all together. And that's why my toolkit for what I've done forever is deep. Yours is spiritually, and mine will get there at some point. And I know a lot of it intuitively just because I was, grew up with rocket scientists and architects, and that's what I wanted to be. So I was already sort of preconditioned myself because of my interest, because I just wanted to make a difference. And I didn't realize how
Mm-hmm.
important art and design is too, because it is powerful how it changes
Mm-hmm.
our lives and our hearts and our homes and our communities and offices and companies. So we are at a
Exactly.
tipping point right now with the weather being ferocious, and now the ferociousness of people wanting to learn more about the other sexes, and people want to communicate and want to stay in
Mm-hmm.
marriages and not just leave, or there's abuse and there's bad communication and bad skills. So it's a toolkit for everybody today to learn how to
Mm-hmm.
communicate better, kinder, nicer. We're all trying to learn that, what other shape or form or color or size we are. I think it is a big tipping point in so many of the positive ways today that we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to find that unity and oneness people talk about all the time, but it still is very obviously there in a very harmful and negative way to many. But people are learning, and we're all getting better every day, right?
And I am very grateful that we are willing to learn and we are learning.
Yes.
And in a way, all of us benefit from it. So getting back to the ships.
Yes. Okay. Back to the
All
ships.
right, back to the ships. We had spoken before, and I had been a few times. Let's just say a few times. A lot more than that, but a few times where I had been in what I call a hospital, where there was the table, and then there was a few
Beings.
galactic beings
Mhm.
around from different places. And then there were these, like the second level of all windows. And then they had like different beings just looking down
Like what
from
I
there.
put, Barbara and I put in our book,
Exactly like that.
so people don't have to try to visualize it. I'm sorry, I just had the book here.
No, good.
So it was,
Perfect.
no, but
Perfect.
so it was like this. So, and they were
Yes.
learning and viewing and teaching,
Right.
sharing.
Right. So it's kind of like the teaching hospitals here on Earth, the same way, the table, and then you had all the windows where all the students sat down and saw what the experts, the teachers did. Now, I was one of those times I was on the table. And when I woke up and was back in my bed, I was completely healed.
Mm.
Now I had cancer in my breast to the point in 2020, to the point where when they were going to do surgery, they could not find anything and they thought they had the wrong breast. So they went on this side and did scans, and they're like, there isn't even the indentation of where your cancer was. There was no bubble, there was no indentation, there was nothing. Everything was back to normal. And that's because they still needed me to do certain things before I went through that experience. I came back. I, I was inside. They said, "Oh, well, we can't find it. Get dressed." I'm like, "Okay." I got dressed. I'm like, "See ya."
What did they
And
think? I mean, they must have been pretty blown away. Did they?
oh, they didn't know what to do.
Of
They
course.
thought I was going to sue them because I'm about to get breast cancer surgery, and there was no, even with the testing at that moment, there was none. I had these scans, these wires, all these things that had already been put in so they could find where uh in the cancer cells were, and there was nothing. All there was a wire there
And there were no
showing
scars, obviously, that they, because when you were healed by
I
the
got healed
beings,
completely.
the Galactics, how long,
Right.
when you went, do you remember when you were taken then?
I
Um,
was taken a week before the cancer surgery.
do you
Now
remember?
the cancer surgery actually, the first cancer surgery was 1 year prior to, exactly 1 year prior when I did have the actual cancer surgery.
Like to the day?
And to the day, December 21st.
Winter solstice.
So, yep, December 21st, 2020, I got the news. We can't find anything. We don't know. I'm sorry. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, they're thinking I'm going to sue them. And I'm like, peace, see ya, gotta go. I hate
Bye.
needles. I'm out of here. I'm dressing up I'm changing and dressing as soon as they said, we don't know what, okay, can you get out? Because I'm going to get changed. I'm going to leave. I go down to the lobby, and all my family's looking at me like, what are you doing down here? I'm like, I got healed. Let's go home. Let's go celebrate. And
So
they're still like,
when you woke up, did they already started drugging you, or were you just ready to
no,
start? So
what they, no, what they do is they always do a ultrasound before they start drugging you. So there was the wire already that got put in three weeks before. And that I had the little scar, but it's like, one of those tiny little things because everything is so microscopic now. And it was like one stitch type of deal, a little band-aid. But they had the wire. So what they did was they said we could take out the wire now, or you could come back for it. I was like, right before Christmas? See ya, gotta go. We'll talk about taking the wire out later when I come back in January. And that's what they did. They took out that scan wire that they call it in January of 2021. Now, because I had they anomaly, they couldn't understand what was going on. They kept rescanning me every 3 months. So all 2021, I was kept rescanning. And it wasn't until October of 2021 that they discovered cancer was back.
in the other
So,
side or the same place?
well, the same breast, but in a different location. So it wasn't that section where it originally was, it's perfect. Even when they did the surgery, which was December 21st, 2021, um, the surgeon even searched in that previous area to make sure that it wasn't a mistake, or that the scans didn't pick up anything, because she's like, I don't understand these. I don't understand what happened. I'm going to see if there's any physical evidence of anything. I wake up and she's like, we don't know. We don't understand. And I'm like, that's because I got people that are above your pay rate.
And did they believe you?
Well, they just thought it was a joke, laughed it off, and
Oh,
and I'm like, well, there was this one nurse though that came up to me and said, I know what you're talking about.
I wondered if they had seen it, if somebody had seen it before. Wow.
Right, right. So, but this woman is very spiritual, so she was already awakened, so she understood what I was saying. Some of the doctors were a little, but anyway, my surgeon is a great person. She's really open-minded, but she's still fully into science. So takes her a little bit to catch up. She'll catch up. So I came out of there, and what I heard once they told me I had cancer was my guy saying, you have to go through this. There's something you need to do. And the only way to get it done is you have to go through it so you know what to experience.
Hmm.
Well, okay. I said, but we're not doing the surgery until December 21st because I had a Vegas trip and it was already paid for. And it was a paranormal reveal, and I was not going to miss that. I got to go up on stage and talk about what I found, what I didn't found, I didn't find, and I was like, no. So, what I found out when I came out of it was that all I needed was radiation. I could opt to do chemo if I wanted to. I'm like, why would I do chemo? I'll lose my hair. You crazy? If I don't need to, I'm not going to do it. Like, why put more stuff in me? So it was a lot less than what they thought. So even then, they were still trying to work on me to try to get me to a place where I still had the surgery because I needed it to feel what I needed to feel so I could then help others.
Hmm.
So I got taken up into the ship in January of this year. And they even started healing me again before the radiation even started. When radiation finally started, I was getting burned because they say it's a tan, but some people don't just tan. And I called upon them one day. I said, I can't handle this. I know you want me to experience this, but can we like bring it down a little bit? Just turn it down, turn the volume down a little. And so while I slept that night, because I have radiation every day, Monday through Friday, while I slept that night, by the time I got back to the hospital for the next radiation treatment, I was healed. There was no burn, there was no redness, there was nothing. And I was like, okay, you got me. Thank you. So, I know that they look out for us. I know that not every visit when you go on a ship is pleasant. I know that. I've also have witnessed non-pleasant experiences with other people there. I mean, thankfully with me, what I can remember, what they let me remember has always been pleasant. But I have seen the other side. And it's not because they're not trying to heal, it's because they're trying to survive.
Right.
Like with you, they needed your eggs so they could continue their species.
Right.
Because they can't reproduce anymore until this point when they started to then become the hybrid and then they could reproduce at some level. Right now, sperm levels of men here on Earth are diminishing.
And is that, yeah, I've heard that too, but you know more about it than I do. Why? Is it chemicals and stress and why is it
Basically chemicals,
food
basically,
or
you know, and it has nothing to do with the vaccines, people. It has to do with all the other stuff previously. All of the chemicals that we put in our food, that they spray on the fields, all the chemicals that are not natural for
right,
the earth.
mercury and tuna fish and all the different food and the fake food
Exactly.
that people
Exactly.
eat.
You know, it isn't,
Air
you know,
and water and
exactly.
materials,
Exactly.
fake
You know,
foods and
you
paint, lead-based
you
paint.
right. Yeah, Ancient Orange,
Experiments
okay?
are toxic, yes. Yeah.
Ancient Orange that was meant for the other side. How can you spray in that area and not expect our side not to get affected? Everybody got affected. So it was like all that stuff has repercussions. And as much as they're trying to heal us and as much as they're trying to help us, we're like a bull in a china closet. We just keep going and breaking everything in the path. Now, there has been times where I have been called to heal them.
Mm. Oh.
Because
Hmm.
they have been exposed to things that are here when they walk among us and they don't know what to do with it because they're not all they're not never been exposed to certain germs that are here on Earth, certain things.
Like
And special,
what would be one?
well,
I mean,
for example, liver and kidney illnesses or diseases. The chemicals and the germs and bacteria that produces that, they have never been exposed to. So some of them have been dying before they realized what it is. So when they do an all healing call, anybody that has, whether you remember or not remember, volunteered to help them just like they help us, gets pulled up. And it's like everybody. When I say a hospital of different species, I mean a hospital of all species.
like
There's humans,
hundreds?
there's,
I mean, everything.
yeah,
I mean, how
everything.
many would be there and what kind of species? I mean,
Right. I'm talking of every single type of species you could think of, and some that I have no idea what they are. I just look at them and I'm like, oh, that's a new one. Okay. Maybe I'll remember. Hopefully I'll remember. And I can't draw, so I can never, because I always wanted to draw so I could picture it and say, this is how they looked, but I just
so
can't
it's
do
really
that.
like in Star Wars in the bar. It was a little bit of everything. Like,
A little bit of everything.
like not,
Exactly.
I mean, just
Exactly. And not only do we have different species, but we have different levels. You
mm-hmm.
know, like our soul has different levels. So when you get to the one of the higher soul levels, you have the white hair and the beautiful blue eyes and the beautiful skin. Okay. So even though they're still human per se, because that's our soul, we still see that versus gray or green or a
so what
combination.
so what range of dimensions then are we talking about? Is that 15 or how, I don't know how high they go, but I mean, are we talking
I don't really know, but I know there's a lot more than what we
10?
have
They know.
knowledge of.
Wow.
Okay. The one time that I remember the whole night, very vivid, to the point where LD kept saying, "Are you okay?" "I'm okay." And I just kept, because I was in a trance, and I'm sitting up on the bed, but I'm not there. Physically, I'm there, but I wasn't there. And he was like, "Okay, what's going on now? Usually you sit up, you clear your throat, you go back to sleep, that's it. Uh, but it was hours. Now, I saw at least 30 different levels of our human soul.
Wow.
I cannot prove it.
I believe.
I cannot say how
Take a picture
exactly.
of an iPhone shot of
Oh
it.
yeah,
Right?
take a picture. Yeah, sure.
People
Bring my
got paid for
camera. All
people to
right.
give you your
Right.
something.
But
Wow.
and I can't even draw it because I'm thinking, okay, this level had this, and you're like, and I'm like, I can't do this. I draw stick figures. And that's probably
Right.
why they don't let me draw, because I probably would have drawn them already and put it out there for people who don't have the knowledge or understand yet.
Do you know where you
Uh,
were actually? I mean, you were off
I
somewhere.
was in a spaceship, but I wasn't in this galaxy. I was in a different galaxy. I remember this ship, I would say like 6, 7 times the size of Earth.
Mm.
It was like a world all itself. I remember my true self, going up, and I remember at one point looking up, and I'm like, where does it end? Because it was just this huge. And I remember also a lot of other people being pulled up. We all did our part. We all did our part there.
Oh,
We
so you
helped
could
with
look
the
out and you could see other, how many other spirit souls did you see floating up? Like dozens, hundreds,
thousands,
thousands?
thousands, thousands.
And was this
Yeah.
on a particular day that you remember? It wasn't December 21st, but why that day? Why that moment to help heal all of them? I wonder if that's an annual event like what they did with you. I mean, that's
Well, it could
wild.
be. But I remember also that some of them were like farmers, and they were teaching them how to farm, how to how to tilt the dirt, or for all intents purposes, how to do the plants, how too far, too close, whatever. I remember that. And I got a tour while I was there. And I was like, okay, I even asked, okay, why am I here? And they're like, you have knowledge that you don't know you have. And while you're here, it is opening up. So while I was there, I remembered from my previous lifetimes, long, 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 long time ago, when I wasn't on Earth in this 3D moment, um, where I could heal others with just the intention. I could heal, for example, a cat or a dog, just with the intention. And I would be able to communicate. So I used all those gifts that were slowly opening up more and more. And the knowledge that I received was incredible. Now I keep quiet about all that stuff because,
Well, this is so
mm,
important though, because this will open up other people if they were part of that. This is a good thing to talk about because every time
right.
anybody says anything, but also I have to tell you, I just saw a silver and a raspberry and purple like rainbow around you when you were talking about that. It was gold and silver and this purple, this beautiful, like this kind of raspberry shade.
Oh,
Like
nice.
was just you're
Nice.
just were beaming this rainbow of energy, girl, right when you were said you went up and all those other people. Whoa. So they gave you downloads. It was a teaching lesson.
teaching moment, yes, for me, because it opened up a lot of knowledge that I had, but because you come to this life to learn and to grow and to evolve, some of it got shut down.
Well, they
Basically, it
imploded
got
it,
into
right? They were reviving it for you, right? At that
right.
moment, they needed you.
Exactly. And they needed that knowledge for me to help them. So at this moment, they said, okay, normally this doesn't get done, but for the sake of every single species in all these universes, we now need humans to get with it. We need humans to start to ascend, to start awakening, to really get all their gifts going. Because, like the saying goes, it takes a village. And again, the togetherness. You know, we may have a different body because this is just bones and flesh and water, and their body may be different. For all intents and purposes, their body is different, but we all are the same. We all need healing, whether it's physical or mental, emotional, spiritual. They also need healing. And
So
sometimes just the
beautiful. Yeah, I mean that is so. But what do you think that was? So what else changed when you were in that? Because that's such a huge wake up call. Because when you mentioned Archangel Metatron to me, then I mentioned it to Sheila, and she saw me a few weeks ago reading in the Pleiades to kids in a hologram. And I said,
right,
I don't remember that. I've had little glimpses. I've been told that by different guides and from people for a long time. She said, no,
right,
you were up there and it feels like, we're all, I mean, you particularly, and you and those ones that were chosen to go up that particular day and many, many more times, but it's reaching that, whatever it is, when spirit sends a message out and you got the call for like the 8 levels to go up. And it's like whoever vibrates at that frequency was going up and you
right,
went up to help heal. And you healed yourself in the process because everything
right.
should be a two-way street. And that's how it
Exactly.
works. But
Mhm.
so that's why everybody is storytelling now. And that's why we're telling these stories, because even for me on like a lower level, but there I was teaching, and I've been told forever that I was a teacher on planet and off planet. And it was like she saw it and you saw it and I didn't see it. But and you're talking big time. But I'm just saying it's the calling now. It is the calling
Right. It
time
is a
now.
calling.
This is why everybody is trying to heal and telling their stories, and we're all showing up, even me who is new at this, as you know, and I'm embarrassed because I don't really know anything, but I know some things. And
And I want to correct you.
hmm?
I want to correct you real quick. Just because you think you only doing teaching, everybody's job is very important.
I know it, and I'm off
And
planet
they're all on the
years,
same
and
level.
I'm teaching. I know that. I'm just saying.
It's not like
That's,
it's not
okay,
like
I
here
take
on
that
Earth.
back. Then you're right. I'm
Right.
here to learn how other people wake up too, like you help me wake
Exactly.
up, and we all help each other wake up.
Exactly.
But what
It's not like Earth where we judge. Oh God, he's just a
compete?
garbage picker.
It's like
No, there is no judgment.
so. What
It just
it just is here to help.
it just is.
And what did they tell you since then? What do you know about that? Do you know anything more about that? Has that happened?
I know that there's going to be a lot more awakening,
Right.
a lot next year.
Yeah.
And it needs to be because something big is coming March or April. I
The sun
I
bursting. That
I am not I don't think it's anything,
people say all different.
destroy. Yeah,
Right.
it's not destroying Earth. It is something big where maybe the ships are finally going to be deciding to let everybody see them.
Good. I've heard that
You
too.
know,
I hope it is. It's time for global awakening. When
exactly,
we all sort of
exactly.
deserve it, it's time.
And it's like, right now everybody's judging everybody. Stop it.
Well, it's shifting.
Uh,
Look at what happened the 21st, your day. And now we're going into this whole new moon and I mean, it's all shifting January 6th.
Yeah,
It's just going to this year is going to be the most epic year, I believe. I don't even know,
yeah,
but I feel the energy shifting every
I
second.
feel it too.
I feel
I
it.
feel it too.
I was up at 3 o'clock this morning going, what is going on? I know things are happening soon. It's like Big Bang all over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
good too. Well,
Yeah.
what an angel
Yeah.
you are. I mean, so it's a combination of all your beautiful healings,
Mm-hmm.
all
It's
your work, all your focus, all your love.
it's it as long as you focus it with pure intent, that's the key to everything. If you're letting your ego, yes, we have to have our ego, but we don't have to let it control us.
Right.
We don't have to let it drive us. If our intent, whatever we do is based on love and purity, no matter what you do, there's going to be people talking about you, whether you take the left or the right, whether you go up or whether you go down. It doesn't make any difference. That's their reality. Yours is the one that should matter to you.
Well, and it does. We all have our path. I've been following what I just have loved my whole life, like you have,
Mhm.
and with a lot of
Mhm.
guidance along the way. It's just
Yeah,
doing good, and we all play our part in whatever role that is, whether it's my little ripple or your Big Bang ripple. It doesn't matter because we're all here doing our
our
hearts
job.
and our job.
Exactly. Right. And it's a fantastic thing when we all get together, become that family that we have been always, but we don't realize it because of so many pre-programming. So much has been shoved down our throats. And being a Gemini, I have always been very good at just sitting back and observing. And I remember one time my father asking me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm observing how silly humans and adults are." And he starts laughing and he's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Look at those two right there. They're fighting because one wanted to get a spoonful of mashed potatoes before the other one. There's plenty of mashed potatoes. Why are they fighting over that? And they're taking longer, so now the food is getting colder. Just, just
Well, it's like
take your
there always
chance."
is enough anyway for everybody. Nobody can be you or me. Nobody'd want to be me, and maybe nobody'd want to be you. But I
Not to
think,
be
yeah,
me now.
but that's not. There's no competition here because of all our unique gifts that are
Yeah,
our own. As weird as they are, all my weird stuff, it adds up to me, and I'm really grateful for it now. It took me a long
exactly.
time to really appreciate it and understand it. But now
Exactly.
that I'm helping way more than I thought I was, I'm truly grateful.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. We're all here for something. And as long as we continue with good intention, purity of heart, we'll get there. We will get there. Stop worrying about how to go about it, what to do. Just enjoy every step. And every step, if you just listen, it will guide you. It will lead you. There will be somebody coming to you and saying, "Oh, I think you should do, for example, for you, I think you should, I was thinking of doing this type of architect, this type of building." And that's your next guide. That's your next idea. Somebody bringing that idea into you and you run with it. And
Well, like
that's
you've
that's
been
how it
doing
goes.
these, like what we're doing on CAN. I would have never thought of that unless I was sort of invited to do it because I didn't think of
Exactly.
it. But I just want to help others learn. And if this is a way that I can learn myself and help others, and I love your stories. This is the biggest learning thing I've ever done in my whole life, on top of all the other things that I'm open to. But anyway,
Yeah.
thank you, Glenda Dawson, magical
Thank
creature
you.
that you are, for this beautiful story today. That's one of the most beautiful stories. I worked on hospitals here, and I worked on a couple of cancer hospitals, and I've lost several of my best friends from that. And I'm so glad you're here to share these positive, beautiful stories that you learned and you're sharing today. that just
Thank
gives so
you.
much more hope and love, and it just permeates all through the universe right now, all the goodwill that you bring. So
Thank
bless
you.
you.
You as well. You bring great energy into this world. So thank you for doing that.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for today, and Happy New Year to you and everyone.
Happy New Year.
Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next year.